Hello, my wonderful Stoic seekers. Welcome back to Stoic with You, the place where ancient wisdom meets your modern dilemmas. Or if you're new here, hello, fellow wanderer. You've just stumbled upon a corner of the internet where we turn life's chaos into calm, one Stoic insight at a time. Now, let's talk about feeling lost. Because let's be honest, we've all been there. Maybe you're stuck in a job that drains your soul, reeling from a breakup, or just staring at your ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering if life is playing some kind of cruel joke. Well, you're not alone, and you're definitely in the right place. In today's video, we're diving deep into the art of reclaiming your life when you feel like you've lost your way. This isn't about sugar-coated pep talks or just think positive cliches. Nope. We're pulling wisdom straight from the Stoic greats, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, to help you detach, refocus, and rebuild your life, brick by brick. Here's the thing, feeling lost isn't a dead end, it's a compass. And trust me, you've got all the tools you need to navigate your way back to solid. So, grab a cup of coffee, a cozy blanket, and maybe your favorite journal, because we're about to explore how to let go of what you can't control. The secret power of gratitude. Why reconnecting with nature and the people who matter will change everything. And hey, if you find this journey inspiring, or even if it just makes you go, that's interesting, don't forget to subscribe and join our growing community of thoughtful, resilient souls. Leave a comment too. I'd love to hear how you're taking charge of your life. So, ready to stop feeling lost and start walking your path with intention? Let's do this, because as your Stoic companion, I'm here to remind you, you're never walking this road alone. We're one. Embrace the power of letting go. Letting go. Two simple words, yet they feel like climbing a mountain when you're clutching onto something or someone so tightly that your knuckles are white. Maybe it's a toxic relationship you've outgrown, a job that pays the bills but devours your soul, or even an idea of the life you thought you should have by now. Whatever it is, holding on can feel safer than the terrifying leap of letting go. But here's the truth, what you're gripping so tightly might be the very thing weighing you down. The Stoics understood this all too well. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Letting go isn't about giving up. It's about surrendering the illusion of control over things you can't change. Clinging to something doesn't make it stay. In fact, it often pushes it further away. Think of sand slipping through clenched fists. The harder you squeeze, the less you have. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I tried to control everything. My relationships, my career trajectory, even how people perceived me. I thought, if I don't hold it all together, it'll fall apart. But it turns out, the only thing falling apart was me. When I finally loosened my grip, I realized something liberating. I wasn't losing control. I was gaining freedom. Letting go starts with recognizing what you can and cannot influence. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Is it in your hands? Great. Do something about it. Is it beyond your control? Let it be. But how do you actually do that? Start small. The next time you find yourself obsessing over something, whether it's a friend not texting back or a missed opportunity, pause. Ask yourself, can I do anything to change this right now? If the answer is no, let it sit. Picture yourself placing that worry into a mental box, shutting the lid, and setting it aside. It's not avoidance, it's choosing peace over panic. For me, walking in nature helped. There's something about the stillness of the trees and the rhythm of my footsteps that reminded me how life flows effortlessly without me forcing it. I once stood against a tree, closed my eyes, and imagined all my stress sinking into its roots. Call it symbolic, call it weird, but when I opened my eyes, I felt lighter. Nature has a way of teaching us to let go. Leaves fall in autumn, streams flow around rocks. Everything moves on in its own time. Why shouldn't we? Another thing that helped was journaling. Writing down my fears, my doubts, and yes, even my anger was like an cluttered attic. With each word, I felt less burdened, as if I was making room for something new. If you've never tried it, start with a simple prompt. What am I afraid to let go of, and why? You might be surprised by the answers that pour out. Of course, letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you abandon your goals or sever all ties. It means you release the chokehold of attachment. The Stoics believed that attachment breeds suffering because it ties your happiness to external things, things that are fleeting and fragile. When you let go, you reclaim your inner stability. You stop being a leaf blown around by the wind and become the rooted tree instead. And here's the magic. The moment you let go of needing something, you often find it comes to you more easily. A relationship strengthens when it's no longer smothered by fear. A new job opportunity arises when you've released your desperation. Life has a way of giving back when you stop trying to force its hand. Letting go isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice, a gentle reminder to yourself that you are enough, with or without that job, that person, that validation. So what's one thing you can let go of today? Start there. As Epictetus said, he is free who lives as he wishes to live. And freedom begins with letting go. Shift focus to what you have. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to focus on what's going wrong in life? You miss one deadline at work, and suddenly you're convinced your entire career is doomed. A friend cancels plans, and you start wondering if they even like you anymore. It's almost as if our brains are programmed to highlight the negative while ignoring the good. And you know what? They kind of are. Psychologists call it the negativity bias, our tendency to dwell on problems more than blessings. The Stoics, however, had a remedy for this: gratitude. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." It's simple, really. Instead of obsessing over what's missing, turn your attention to what's already here. But let's be honest, shifting focus is easier said than done. When life feels overwhelming, gratitude can seem like the last thing you want to practice. I know this firsthand. There was a time when I couldn't see past what I didn't have. My mind was a constant loop of, if only I had more money, or why can't I find the right relationship? It wasn't until I started keeping a gratitude journal, out of pure desperation, mind you, that I noticed a shift. At first, it felt forced. I'm grateful for coffee. But then, as I kept at it, something magical happened. I began noticing the small, beautiful things I'd overlooked for years. The way sunlight filters through my window in the morning, the warmth of a loved one's laughter, or even the reliability of my favorite pair of sneakers. Gratitude doesn't have to be grand to be transformative. Let's try a little experiment. Right now, think about your day so far. Maybe it's been a disaster. Missed alarms, traffic jams, spilled coffee. But what else happened? Did someone smile at you? Did you have clean water to drink? Did the air smell fresh? These might seem trivial, but they're not. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, meditate on what you have, and how much you would long for them if they were gone. Imagine losing those tiny comforts you take for granted, even for a day. Suddenly, they don't feel so small, do they? Practicing gratitude isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about balancing the scales. The Stoics knew that life is full of hardships. They didn't deny that. They simply refused to let those hardships define their perspective. Instead, they chose to notice what was working in their favor. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When we focus on what we lack, we create a reality of scarcity. But when we focus on what we have, we step into a reality of abundance. To truly shift your focus, you have to go beyond fleeting thoughts. Gratitude must become an active practice. Here's what worked for me. Every morning, before my feet even hit the floor, I list 3 things I'm grateful for. Some days it's as simple as, I got a good night's sleep, or the weather looks nice. Other days it's deeper. I'm grateful for the strength to get through a tough week. The key is to make it a habit. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude also works wonders in relationships. How often do we criticize our loved ones for what they don't do, instead of appreciating what they do? When I started consciously thanking my friends and family for the little things, like a thoughtful text or simply being there, it transformed how I felt about them and how they felt about me. Gratitude is contagious, and when you express it, you create a ripple effect of positivity in your relationships. Lastly, remember that gratitude isn't just about other people or things. It's also about yourself. When was the last time you thanked yourself for showing up, even when it was hard? For keeping it together on days you felt like falling apart? You deserve that acknowledgement too. So let's bring it back to you. What do you have right now that's going right? It doesn't have to be extraordinary. Maybe it's just the fact that you woke up today, breathing and alive. That's already a victory. Shift your focus, even if it's just a little, and see how your world begins to change. Because when you train your mind to look for the good, you'll find that it's been there all along. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So why not let those thoughts be ones of gratitude? 3. Reconnect with nature and its lessons. When was the last time you truly immersed yourself in nature? Not just walked through a park while scrolling your phone, but genuinely noticed it? The sound of leaves rustling in the wind, the rhythmic chirping of crickets, or the way sunlight dances through tree branches. If you're like most of us, it's probably been a while. But reconnecting with nature isn't just about taking a break. It's about finding perspective, healing, and inspiration in the most unexpected places. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, believed that nature was a mirror for life itself. He wrote, "Look at the plants, the trees, and the animals. They do not grow for praise, nor do they lament their circumstances. They simply fulfill their purpose." This wasn't just poetic musing. For the Stoics, observing nature was a way to understand the order of the universe and our place within it. Nature teaches us that growth, decay, and renewal are natural cycles, not catastrophes. For me, nature has been a constant source of solace. I'll never forget a particularly rough season in my life when everything felt overwhelming. Work stress, strained relationships, and a general sense of failure. One evening, I decided to go for a walk in the woods near my home. No headphones, no distractions, just me and the sounds of nature. As I wandered, I came across a tree that had fallen, its massive trunk split in half by a storm. At first, it seemed tragic. This once majestic tree, now broken and decaying. But then I noticed something. New shoots were sprouting from its base. Life was continuing. It wasn't the end, it was transformation. Nature is full of these quiet lessons if we're willing to look. Think of the way rivers flow around rocks rather than resisting them, or how seasons change without apology or hesitation. There's an effortless adaptability in nature that we as humans often struggle with. We fight change, cling to the past, and resist the inevitable. But nature reminds us that letting go and adapting isn't a weakness, it's survival. One practice that's profoundly helped me is grounding. Whenever I feel untethered, I find a patch of grass, take off my shoes, and let my bare feet touch the earth. It's a simple act, but it reconnects me with something primal and steady. Something that says, no matter what chaos is happening up here, I always point to my head. Down here, the earth is still holding you. Try it sometime. Stand still, breathe deeply, and feel the stability beneath you. The Stoics also valued nature as a space to reflect and realign. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the clarity he found while observing the world around him. He once noted that even the smallest details of nature, like the cracks in bread or the ripeness of an olive, held beauty. This taught me to pay attention to the small wonders I usually overlook. The dew glistening on grass in the morning, the intricate patterns on a butterfly's wings, or the smell of rain-soaked soil. These moments remind us that life is layered with beauty, even in its imperfections. Reconnecting with nature also means learning to be present. When you watch a sunset or sit by the ocean, the worries that once consumed you tend to shrink. Why? Because nature forces you to focus on the now. The waves don't crash for tomorrow, the sun doesn't rise for yesterday. They exist purely in the moment, and so can you. Another lesson nature offers is resilience. Trees lose their leaves in winter, appearing bare and lifeless, but they don't panic. They conserve energy, endure the cold, and wait for spring to bloom again. How often do we panic when things don't go our way, assuming the worst instead of trusting that a new season will come? Nature shows us that growth takes time and often follows periods of stillness. If you're feeling lost, stressed, or disconnected, let nature be your guide. You don't need to book a retreat or hike a mountain unless you want to. Start small. Sit on a bench in the park, plant a flower in your garden, or even spend a few minutes observing the sky. These moments of connection can ground you, providing clarity and peace. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, dwell on the beauty of life, watch the stars, and see yourself running with them. You are part of this grand, intricate universe, a vital piece of its endless dance. So step outside, Breathe deeply and let nature remind you of the calm, strength, and purpose that already live within you. 4. Rebuild your inner and outer circles. Let's face it, life can feel unbearably lonely at times. Even in a world hyper-connected by technology, the sense of isolation can creep in, especially when we're going through difficult seasons. But here's the thing, humans weren't designed to walk through life alone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We were born for cooperation, like feet, hands, eyelids, and the rows of the upper and lower teeth." In other words, we thrive in connection. When life feels off balance, one of the most powerful steps you can take is rebuilding your inner and outer circles, the people and support systems that help you grow. For me, this realization hit hard after a particularly tough year. I'd spent so much time pouring myself into work that I'd let my friendships and family connections slip. When things fell apart, a failed project, a breakup, I found myself looking around and realizing my circle had grown alarmingly small. It wasn't that people didn't care. It was that I hadn't nurtured those relationships. The good news? Relationships, like gardens, can be revived with care and effort. Start by reflecting on who is already in your life. Are there friends, family members, or colleagues who genuinely support and uplift you? Take inventory of these relationships and ask yourself, have I been investing enough time and energy into them? Sometimes all it takes is a call, a text, or even a coffee date to rekindle a connection. I started doing this, reaching out to old friends, sending random messages to say, "Hey, I was thinking of you today." It was amazing how quickly these small acts of effort began to strengthen bonds I thought had faded. But rebuilding your circle isn't just about reconnecting with people you already know. It's also about seeking out new connections that align with the person you're becoming. If your current environment feels toxic or uninspiring, don't be afraid to expand your circle. Join a club, attend a workshop, or explore communities that share your interests. When I started practicing Stoicism, I found an online group of like-minded individuals who not only helped me deepen my understanding, but also became a source of encouragement and accountability. It's important, however, to be discerning about who you let into your life. The Stoics emphasized the value of surrounding yourself with virtuous people, those who inspire you to grow rather than drag you down. Seneca wisely said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Take a moment to assess. Are there people in your life who drain your energy or constantly bring negativity? Setting boundaries with such individuals isn't selfish. It's necessary for your mental and emotional health. While your outer circle provides external support, your inner circle is just as crucial. And by that, I mean the relationship you have with yourself. Rebuilding this connection often means addressing the negative self-talk and doubts that creep in when you're vulnerable. I've learned that being kind to yourself isn't indulgent. It's essential. When was the last time you encouraged yourself the way you would a close friend? For me, journaling became a way to rebuild my inner dialogue. Writing down affirmations or even acknowledging small wins each day helped shift my perspective from self-criticism to self-compassion. Family, too, can be a cornerstone of support if it's a healthy dynamic. I know not everyone has a positive relationship with their family, and for some, walking away from toxicity is the healthiest choice. But for those with family members willing to grow and learn alongside you, there's power in rebuilding those bonds. I'll admit, this wasn't easy for me. I carried a lot of resentment over past conflicts, but when I saw genuine effort from my family to reconnect, I decided to meet them halfway. It wasn't perfect, but it reminded me that relationships don't have to be flawless to be meaningful. Finally, remember that connection is a two-way street. Just as you seek support, be prepared to give it. Be the person who listens without judgment, who celebrates others' wins, and who shows up when it matters. One of the greatest joys in life is knowing that you are part of someone else's support system. Rebuilding your inner and outer circles isn't an overnight process. It's a gradual one, built through consistency and intention. But as those connections deepen, you'll find yourself feeling less isolated and more supported. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings no benefit to the bee." We are interconnected, and nurturing those connections is how we thrive. So take a moment to think. Who in your life could you reach out to today? What steps could you take to reconnect with yourself? Start there and watch how the strength of your circles, inner and outer, begins to grow. 5. Live in the present and redefine your goals. Have you ever caught yourself replaying a past mistake over and over in your mind, or worrying endlessly about a future that hasn't even arrived yet? It's exhausting, isn't it? You feel stuck between regrets you can't change and fears you can't control. The Stoics understood this human tendency all too well. That's why they taught us to live fully in the present moment, because it's the only time we truly have. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Confine yourself to the present." At first glance, that advice seems almost too simple. But if you've ever tried it, you know it's anything but easy. Our minds are like restless travelers, jumping between the past and the future, rarely pausing in the now. For years, I lived this way, haunted by what-ifs and if-onlys. I was so consumed by chasing future goals and replaying old failures that I missed out on the life unfolding right in front of me. One day, it hit me. I wasn't living my life. I was either analyzing it or planning it, but I wasn't truly present for it. That realization came during a conversation with a friend. We were at a coffee shop, and instead of listening to her, I was scrolling through my phone, thinking about an upcoming deadline. When I finally looked up, she had stopped talking and was staring at me, hurt. That moment was a wake-up call. I realized that by not being present, I wasn't just missing my life, I was missing the people in it. So how do we start living in the present? For me, it began with small, mindful habits. One of the most effective was learning to focus on my senses. I would ask myself, what do I see, hear, smell, taste, and feel right now? This simple exercise grounded me in the moment. Instead of letting my mind wander, I trained it to observe the world around me. The way the light reflects off a window, the smell of freshly brewed coffee, or the sound of birds chirping outside. The more I practiced, the more I noticed a shift. The present stopped feeling like something I was rushing through and started feeling like a gift. Another tool that helped me was journaling, especially at night. Before bed, I'd write down 3 things that happened during the day that I was grateful for. At first, it felt forced. I'm grateful the sun was shining today. But over time, this habit rewired my brain to focus on the small joys I might have otherwise overlooked. It's amazing how much beauty exists in the ordinary when you're paying attention. Living in the present also means redefining your relationship with time. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." That hit me hard. How often do we waste precious moments agonizing over things that are outside our control? The Stoics remind us that while we can't control the past or the future, we can control what we do right now. And that's where real power lies. This lesson became especially clear to me when I started reevaluating my goals. Like most people, I had a list of ambitious dreams. Climb the career ladder, buy a bigger house, travel the world. But when I examined those goals, I realized they were more about chasing external validation than personal fulfillment. The Stoics believed that true happiness comes from living a life aligned with your values, not society's expectations. So I asked myself, what truly matters to me? The answer surprised me. It wasn't about achieving more. It was about connecting more, spending time with loved ones, pursuing creative projects, and taking care of my health. Redefining your goals doesn't mean giving up ambition. It means ensuring that your ambitions serve you, not the other way around. Write down your goals and ask yourself, why do I want this? Will it make my life more meaningful, or am I chasing it because I think I should? When your goals align with your values, they become less about pressure and more about purpose. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or abandoning the future. It means recognizing that they don't own you. Your past may have shaped you, but it doesn't define you. Your future is a canvas, but it's painted by the choices you make today. In the present moment, that's where life happens. One of my favorite practices is what I call the 5-minute check-in. Throughout the day, I pause for just 5 minutes to ask myself, am I present right now? If the answer is no, I take a deep breath and refocus. Whether I'm cooking, working, or simply sitting quietly, this practice helps me stay grounded. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This isn't about being morbid, it's about urgency. Life is fleeting and every moment matters. So why waste it on regrets and worries? Be here now. Look around, breathe deeply, and live. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Dear friend, so we've just walked through the path of reclaiming your life when you feel lost. From learning to let go, to practicing gratitude, reconnecting with nature, rebuilding meaningful relationships, and embracing the present moment, we've explored powerful ways to realign with your purpose and find peace amidst the chaos. But here's the truth. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You don't need to master all of these principles overnight. Start small. Let go of just one worry, express gratitude for one thing, take a quiet moment to observe the world around you, or reconnect with someone you care about. These tiny steps, taken consistently, will create a ripple effect in your life. Remember, as the Stoics taught us, you have everything you need within you to live a fulfilled life. You are not defined by your past mistakes or by the uncertainty of the future. You are shaped by the choices you make today. So, dear friend, what will you do with this moment? Will you take a step toward the life you deserve? The choice is yours, and I know you have the strength to make it. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So choose thoughts of hope, gratitude, and purpose. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your insights or personal stories in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic with You for more reflections and practical wisdom. Let's continue walking this path together, one mindful step at a time. Take care, stay strong, and remember, you are never walking this journey alone.